Wednesday event. My name is Alfredo García de Vinuesa. I am European Marine Board Young Ambassador, and today I am going to be the moderator of this session. First of all, I want to remember our housekeeping rules. Please, Paula, next. Please make sure that your name is clearly entered. Keep your microphone muted unless you are speaking. Raise your hand if you would like to speak. You can also use the chat function to make comments and ask questions. Please be respectful and use appropriate language. And discussion can continue on the Slack channel afterwards. Also, I want to advise that the presentation will be recorded and after share it in YouTube, but discussion will not be recorded. Now, I want to talk about what is the ECOP network. This, Paula, perfect. ECOP network is a platform established by European Marine Board Young Ambassador and Secretariat, created to early career ocean professional ECOPs of European Marine Board member organizations. And it's a great opportunity to network and meet peers across Europe and to gain voice at European Marine Board level. For the ECOP network, the European Marine Board Young Ambassador and Secretariat organize each first Wednesday of each month an event where we invite interesting speakers to talk about relevant issues. In this case, I have the pleasure to introduce you Mari Carmen Garcia, that will talk about the Oceanicas initiative. Mari Carmen Garcia is a biologist working at the Spanish Institute of Oceanography. It's my colleague in this case. Since October 2021, she is the director of the Oceanographic Center of Malaga. She worked in the Mediterranean Climate Change Group, devoted to ocean observing, being the head of the RAMEN project, Temporal Series of the Mediterranean. She represents the IEO in different international organizations like European Marine Board. She is very active in Oceanicas. That is a project devoted to promote the role of women in marine science, not only recovering the stories of pioneers, but also working for generate scientific vocation, mainly in girls. In this sense, she has organized the first Oceanicas meeting, where the problem that women have to face during their scientific life were discussed. Then welcome, Mari Carmen. Thank you to be today here and share with us this interesting initiative. Then the floor is yours, Mari Carmen.
Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you all. Let's start sharing my screen. Let me see. Sorry, I have to change the presentation. It's not working. Sorry, I'm sharing again. This one. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Full screen mode. Okay. And now?
Yeah, now it's perfect.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the opportunity of being here in front of you, in front of the ECOPs. You are the future of the oceanography, so for me it's a pleasure. I can see that in the participants there are the ambassadors. I'm really proud of you. You are really in a really good work, and this network I think is really important. And I also can see the people from the Secretariat. I always say that we have the best Secretariat in the world, and it's true. The Secretariat for the European Marine Board is fantastic. But today I'm here to talk about Oceanicas. And as you can see here in my affiliation, I have written that I'm Oceanica. And after that, I'm the director of the Oceanographic Center of Malaga. That's because it's a feeling. Being an Oceanica is being part of something that we think is really important. But I would like starting to make you think and to make you imagine something. And what about if I ask to the audience, probably in this audience is different to the rest of the audiences I'm used to. From audience, when I refrain, this is normal people, not devoted to the marine sciences or researchers. But if I ask you, why don't you imagine people working at the sea? It will depend on who you are. Probably if you are a child, you will thinking about or think of imagining pirates or some crazy sailor, so probably the Navy, or probably a fisherman. But what about if I ask you, why don't you imagine, think of a scientist? Again, it will depend on the evidence. If you are a child, probably you will imagine a scientific researcher with even crazier hair discovering something incredible under the microscope. But it's not reality. For other audiences, you will imagine, for example, Einstein or Newton, or these two are Spanish, sorry, because you have to put them here, Pedro Ochoa, Ramón y Cajal, or for sure, Marie Curie, Stephen Hawking. So if we are talking about the sea, probably Jacques Cousteau. What do these two answers in common? What do they have in common? That when we imagine normally a scientist or a sea worker, we imagine a man. And the question is, it is true? It's true that the men are doing the marine research. So let's see some number and we'll see if it's true or not. And this year, the Spanish ministry has published this document called Científicas en Cifras. Is translated into English should be something similar to women researchers in numbers or numbers of women researchers. And we have some curious figures I want to share with you. In this one, you can see the women who graduated with a doctoral degree in 2020 in the European Union. In red are the numbers in Spain, logically, but here you can find the numbers in the European Union. 28 means that the United Kingdom is included in the numbers. What we can see is approximately 50% of women and men graduated with a doctoral degree in 2020. So things seems that we are really equal. Men and women do the same research, at least at this level. Let's continue. We can also see in this document the change of percentage of women who have defended the doctoral thesis in this period, 2015, 20. And again, the mean value is here, approximately 0, which means it hasn't changed much. But if we see up there, specifically to different countries, we can see that in most of them, the number of women has decreased. We don't know the reason. We are not talking about reason. We're talking about numbers. But in general, the number is approximately, again, 0, so no change. Let's continue. We'll have another report. This one is the chief figures from the European Union 21. In this report, we can see this typical figure. For sure, you have seen it many times, but I think we have to continue watching it every time we can. In this case, this is a seesaw figure. You can see the numbers of the proportion of men and women at different stages of the scientific career. At the beginning, this is true. It's when you are here studying at university. Here is when you are graduating. And the numbers are normally start more women than men, not many. No, logically, more women than men finishes their studies. But after that, you start the studies of the PhD. And as I will show before, the numbers are really similar. This is at the beginning, when you are starting your PhD. This is when you graduate at your PhD. After that, things change. That's the beginning of the scientific career, the postdoctoral. And then the man, sorry, I haven't said that, is blue and gray. The man start growing the numbers, and for women, they start decreasing. This position is when they have permanent positions, senior researchers, and these are the high-level positions. As you can see here, normally these high-level positions are occupied by men. This is what we know, all you know, is the same. You are really used to these figures, the leaky pipe, but we have to see continuously. This is from an article published in Nature in 2019, when you can see these drops. These drops are the women that are leaving the scientific career. And here in this figure, I can share this presentation with you, or you can search for this document. You can see some reasons why the women leave the scientific, or some number where the women are treated in a different way than men during the scientific career. So I encourage you to search for this image. I don't want to stop here. I don't want to bore you, so just two more. Just two more. This one in orange are women, in blue are men. are the proportion of women or men that are occupying precarious jobs, right, at universities or institutions, research institutes. And mostly in most of them are women who are occupying these precarious jobs. And also, this one is the opposite. The proportion of women that are occupying high level at different countries. Again, this is the end of the season. You can see here the women is only 23.7% of the high positions. These are numbers. So what women are facing are two main problems. One of them is the glass ceiling. We don't get the high level positions. And the other one is sticky floor. We are trapped, mainly trapped, women trapped in this sticky floor. So we have to fight through that. But what specifically is happening in marine sciences? I only found one report talking specifically about women in marine sciences, was the Global Ocean Science Report published by UNESCO in 2022. And it states this sentence that says, female researchers are the 39% of global ocean science. 39% is at 10% higher than the global number of women that are devoted in natural science, that is studying the natural sciences. So we are bad, but not as bad as in other disciplines. But going back at our question is this true? Remember the question 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago? The answer would be no. Both men and women have academic career. It's true. Both of them are. But the answer should be also yes. If you ask to anyone and imagine a man working at the sea or a researcher, again, you will think of a man. And the answer will be yes, because mostly men reach high-level positions, that they are more visible. And that's why Oceanicas was formed. We are here in Oceanicas. Oceanicas is a project that wants to make the women visible. We work for women, we go for marine sciences in general, for the talent we share, men and women. And Oceanicas work specifically devoted to bring the talent of the women and give life to this talent. As I said, it's a project that's been funded. This is the third edition. We have just got the funds for the third time of Oceanicas. We got these funds last week, 3 days ago. We were noticed that we again have been funded for Oceanicas for the next year. And we are valuing the role of women in marine science. And we want to visualize the work we do in marine science. Not only the present, but all of the past, the pioneers, our pioneers. Of course, we are committed with the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically number 5. And there's a sentence when you search for this, for the Sustainable Development Goals number 5, there's a sentence I think we should tattoo on our skin that says, gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. So we are working for gender equality in marine sciences. We are working really committed with this objective. But we have another objective, is that to promote vocations, scientific vocations in girls. We want the girls to know us. We want them to look at us and say, yeah, this is a woman that is doing this type of job. I want to do that. And we have a very special day. For us, it's February 11th, the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. We do I think it's funny, I'll show you now. We have published 2 editions of this book, Female Pioneers in Ocean Science. We are really proud of it. Well, these are the authors. Pablo Lozano is our colleague who published it. Antonia Calafati is the illustrator who has done a really fantastic job. And here we honor this pioneer is the 18th century to the actual month. I've seen that this slide is in Spanish, I'm sorry. But here I can show you some of them. This one is, for example, Jeanne Barret. She was the first woman to travel around the world in a vessel, but she had to do it dressed as a man, as you can imagine. And during February 11th, we have open days, and during these open days, some of our colleagues dress as these pioneers and tell their story in the very first person. So I want to show you some of these photos. For example, this is my colleague dressed as Jean Paret. It's fantastic. And this really works. We capture the attention of the people. There we have many others. Jean Villiers, the bird of the Aquarius. Here is my colleague dressed as Jean Villiers, Anita Conti. She was pioneer, but she was a fighter against the impacts of industrial fisheries. Or, for example, Medicis, a commander of Marine Reserve unit in the United States. Here's my colleague, she's a student who was working with us. Or Marisar, probably you know her, was the first person to chart the bottom of all the oceans. Here's my colleague, she is a geologist, I was dressed as her. And here you can find a photo. She is our vice director in Madrid, and she is my colleague from Malaga. They are both at the United Nations, and this photo is really nice for us because this is the map of Marisar. This is at the United Nations in Europe, in New York. Eugene Clark, probably you know her, or Sylvia Earle, very, very famous. And for us, there is a special one, that is Jimena Quiroz. Jimena Quiroz, I will stop here just 1 minute to tell something about her story. Jimena Quiroz was born at the end of the 19th century. She was born in the southern Spain, in Almeria, and was the first woman in Europe to go on a cruise, on a scientific cruise. She was also a fighter for the rights of the women and fight a lot for the right to vote for women. And here's my colleague dressed as her. And she lived in Spain during the 20th century. And I don't know if you know much about the story of Spain. We have a dictator from the 1936 to 1975, and she had many problems because she was an active feminist. And she was fired from our institution in 1940. She was fired from our institution, and she was readmitted in 1966. But she was so old that she was readmitted as a retired. The important part of the story is that the story of this woman has been forgotten. She didn't have children, and nobody knew nothing about her. The story of this woman was recovered because my colleagues were working in Oceanicas put in contact with her nephew, who was 82 years old, and he has preserved the documentation about her uncle. And then we could recover the story. You can find more in our webpage. Please visit it and learn about this woman. And we could recover the story, and we can now honor her work because she did really interesting things. I always like showing this. This is a vote ticket because she was able to vote at the beginning of the 30s during the Spanish Republic. So she was able to vote at least one. And we are really proud because thanks to Oceanicas in Madrid, you can go in the city center. There are some gardens who have the name of Jimena Quiroz. They are close to the station, Atocha station, maybe you know it if you travel to Madrid. So you go there, you can find this garden, and you can know the story of this woman who has been recovered for this. So we're really proud of it. But we also have the story, not only we were thinking and changed our mind about the second edition of the book, and we wanted to include the story of young researchers that leading the new oceanography challenges. So it was decided to include the story, for example, of Cristina Romera, that is a girl, as a woman, a young researcher, as you, maybe probably you in the next year are in our books. And she studies plastic, and she was awarded in the International Rising Talents Award in the UNESCO from L'Oreal, one of the most promising young scientists in the world. So this is Cristina Romera, and of course, she is an Oceanic. But Oceanicas is much more than a recognition to our pioneers. We have different sections. For example, you have this one is 2 days of Oceanicas. I invite you to participate in this section. We have a space for all the women that work and have worked or have been working or is working in marine, not only marine sciences. You can be a technician, a sailor, a fisherwoman, whatever you are. If you want to tell us your story, it's very easy. You just have to write to us, send your photo, and send us a photo and send your story, and it will be published in our website. Here are some examples. For example, here, sorry, it's in Spanish. It's Pilar Rios, she studies biodiversity. He's our colleague in the north of Spain, and I also. Or, for example, Henry's, that studies the connections from the sea bottom, the water column, the atmosphere, the gases. Or, for example, we have the story of Lisa Martinez talking about books that shows us something about the story of the sea. So this is a space that is open to all of us. Please write to us, be an Oceanicas. I hope you to all to be Oceanicas, not only women, but also men. But the story we publish are the story of women. But I think Oceanicas are all of us. We also have the story of our research observers. That's very hard work because we have to embark on commercial fisheries ships, and it's very hard to do that work. So we also have their stories. We also have another section that is Oceanicas bloggers, and some of our colleagues write about different marine sciences with a feminine perspective, fishing, ocean climate, geology, or ecology. We also have interviews. You can find them. And we don't stop, as I said before. We have a YouTube channel I show you now, YouTube contests, comic contests, exhibition, Oceanicas. I show you now what is that. This is our YouTube channel. You can find all this information on our website. You can find the story. We have done these videos about some of our pioneers telling their stories. They are short videos, but I invite you to visit them. And we have a special activity on the 8th of June with ONCE. ONCE is a Spanish organization devoted to help the people that is blind or has visually impaired. And we have this opportunity to have these open doors, open days with these blind people. We had to be prepared. We were taught before they were coming to us to visit us, and after that we had to prepare some material to have these open days with these blind people. It was really nice to have this opportunity. And ONCE, I haven't said, has a lottery, and we have a special coupon, a special ticket of this lottery devoted to Oceanicas. And this institution works at national level. It's very famous, very famous in Spain. And we have the opportunity to have this special coupon of ONCE devoted to Oceanicas. I've said we have been funded three times for the project Oceanicas, but we also got some funds to do the first Oceanicas meeting, because this Oceanicas meeting was prepared 2 years ago, and we wanted to talk about the past, present, and future of the role of women in marine sciences. It was really successful. We had around 400 people register, because it was in a combined mode, in person and online, from all over the world, and it was in Spanish. We were really happy to have so many people register for this meeting. We also had a journalism contest. It was really great, and we had also grants for young researchers to come to visit us. We prepared some talks to talk about gender equality, or to talk about glass ceiling, or work on board, or different roundtables, different talks to talk about women in an international point of view. But something that we didn't do well was about, because we did only have a 10% of men registered. We were much more women that we are really interested in this, but we only had this 10% of men that came to our meeting. It's not so bad, but we should improve these numbers because we have to include the men working with us. When we were preparing this meeting, we were talking, the different women that we were preparing this meeting, and we realized that all of us, at least we knew one case of sexual harassment on board. And then we said, oh, maybe this is more common than we think, because all of us knew something. We have heard something of someone who knows someone has happened something on board, and we decided to have a survey before the meeting, just to ask people about that. And before the meeting, we asked, among others, this question: if you have participated in an oceanographic cruise, have you experienced sexual or gender-based harassment? We got 194 answers, I think it's in the program. And 61.2 said no, but 28.4 said yes. And 9.8 said I'm not sure. After that, we answered, if your answer was yes, have you ever experienced discrimination based on your sex? And the answer was 34.6 said yes, and 17.9 said I'm not sure. So for me, it was surprising. I couldn't imagine 20.4 said yes, they have suffered sexual or gender-based harassment. So we try to bring this to the meeting. We have, as I said before, we have different talks about women in general. We were taught about basic content on equality that was really interesting. And we have some different tables, for example, in this one, work and family balance, or the work on both table that I will refer to later. And what were the lessons that we learned? Because we learned a lot. In this table, as you can see, there were some people that was online, and the other people that you can see here is a man and a woman. They are my colleagues from the Oceanographic Center in Malaga. They are a couple. They have 4 children. 4 children. They studied together at university, but he is a senior researcher, but he is still having precarious jobs. And it was really hard when we were there, when he started to talk. He was really nervous, but she said something that almost broke our hearts was when she was talking. But she said that she feels like a steam train. She's a steam train that goes very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, while the rest of the people travels in a high-speed train. And she's continuously looking at people that is passing her, but she's still there. She continues working on marine research. She's not one of the drops. She's still there, but she is in this part of the precarious job. Then we had this another table. It was really interesting, work on board table. And in this work on board, we had 2 men and 3 women. And it was fantastic hearing from them when they recognized that probably when we are now that we know more, but we talk about this more, that probably they have had sexist behaviors without realizing it. And that thing is a really important point. And during this work on board table, in the public, there was someone who told us about a sexual harassment that a person has suffered on board. So it was really important to talk about of these topics. And of course, we did it well, but I think there was something we didn't as well as we should have done. And in my case, when I'm referring to the glass ceiling table. In this table, in the glass ceiling table, we invited very high-level women. They were really nice. But we forgot to invite these drops that we are losing during the life. So it was nice to hear that it is important to get women, to have women that are really important in a very high level, but it's important to have the words from the women that are being had, that are the trust that we lost. And well, we continue with Oceanicas. We have many other things we have been awarded, and this is a very important prize that we are being awarded. We are working, it's around 135 different institutes, and we have awarded as the best dissemination project because Oceanicas is being useful not only to recognize the role of women, yes, but also to disseminate all the work that we do at marine sciences. We have all the type of people that works on different topics related to the sea. And this is what they say about us. For its quality of multi-format context, careful communication strategy, attractive graphic design, social permeability, again, etc., and for the visibility of women in science. And for the future, of course, we have ideas for the future. The reprinting of the book, new translations, we now have it in French and in English, two official languages, and converting in an audiobook. And also improving, we have an exhibition, we have to improve it, favoring itineracy. We want to do new educational units devoted to women's writing marine science environmental activities, etc. And finally, why not train? I always say the same sentence. Why not an Oceanicas at the European level, worldwide? We are all Oceanicas. I hope to have convinced you to convert in Oceanicas, to follow us, and please write to us and to tell your story. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Carmen.